Hey everybody, I hope you're doing great. I'm going to relax and connect with the energies right now and share some wisdom with all of us. We're just going to see through the eyes of something cosmically greater and then turn it into a human understanding that we can, I don't know, make it purposeful, perhaps. Goal is helpful message, some purposeful wisdom. I'm going to relax now and close my eyes. We'll see what the images are that come forward, and I'll share my experience, and then we'll learn together. All right, here we go. Okay, there's some wisdom. Okay. All right, so, okay, I mean, it's basically a question. It starts with a question. And the question is basically, it's asking me if, do I want to look at the way things are on Earth? If I want to look through the eyes of someone, I want to look through the eyes of everyone. How would I do that? Truly look through the eyes of every single person simultaneously, or just an individual person. How about, it kind of reminds me of a journey that I did recently for myself, actually. And there was this detail, and I didn't need to investigate the detail because the energy spoke for itself. It was very irritating. I mean, it was more than irritating. It's just like, think of a human being that represents the most unacceptable. It's just absolutely, it's disrespecting of themselves, disrespecting of others. It's the lowest kind of humanity, okay? And you can see it, and you can taste it, you can swallow it down, and you want to react to it because it's not okay. All right. So in the journey, I was presented with a persona. It was a dragon, actually. And it was so violating, the energy of it, that all I could do was want to, I don't know, create a protective energy to push it away. But I was asked to stop, just stop for a minute, and then move my consciousness into this dragon. When I did that, really what I was picking up on was what the dragon represented, which was a pathway to a pretty disturbing, you could call it like a hell space, an unfathomable tyranny that happened to unfathomable quantities of souls, and the door closed for who knows how long, and nothing reconciled bothers my soul a lot. I want to see healing. I want to see this reconciliation happen. And I can't understand God sometimes, because God is the balance of all things, and God understands at such a high vantage point that nothing of my human idea of right and wrong, good and bad, is ever going to meet that, is never going to reach it, never really understand it. And so then I try to make the decisions that I feel are right for me, and build good qualities in myself. Good moral qualities make me feel good about myself, make me feel good about my actions, makes me feel like I have a soul, And so I have to navigate my life by deciding what I feel makes sense to me and how I want to live and express myself. But what about God? What about God? Does God say, I'm going to do the morally right thing? And can I even understand what the morally right thing is to God? So this space is like, imagine a great tyranny And the only solution to that tyranny was to close the door, and all souls then would have to wait. Wait until a day that someone would happen by, because by God's design, someone would eventually. And truly, eternity is only moments, even if it is forever. So it could feel like a million years. Stop by and take a look at this place because I decided to calm my energy down, investigate the dragon. Its long neck was a path to another dimension of long forgotten souls that were seeking help. So my anger wasn't really in the dragon, but it was, you could say, towards God. And the incomprehensibility of what God is. And what God can say is good. I can't comprehend it. But if God gave me a task, even if it challenged me, I would have complete trust and faith in God. Even if I couldn't understand it as a human being. That task is the greatest honor you could ever have. So this question, that I guess we have to begin with this question. A helpful message, wisdom. Is it for me to connect with all human beings to comprehend the one singular vision that we could work with today? An individual human being, could that be enough to understand the whole? It's more than words can really define. It's like trying to understand God. So when the energy comes to me in the form of a question, I try to put that into English. It's like, what is the sound of a soul? how do I explain that with words, and now navigate it, and now talk to people about it. It's like kind of impossible, but I'm going to try, right? So let me see if I were to answer this question. I guess they're asking me so that I can get centered with my spark to even make this video to share with you guys. They're challenging me to get a more concrete feel for what I'm hoping to accomplish today. Not so vague, I suppose. And then I tell them, well, your questions have got me thinking. To not be so vague. Those are just a couple ideas. We're just adding a couple of variables into the midst of the original goal, is just share a message, a helpful message, wisdom. Now, how do I want to look through the lens of an infinite eyesight? There's a lot of options in there. I need a minute. I feel inspired to say something. And maybe this is the path. Maybe this is the message. It could only be prompted by strange details. It's not like I close my eyes and get to do the usual. They're challenging the usual. So the thing I was going to say is about the brain, okay? So the human brain does all the thinking, right? You can tell when you're using your human brain because you think about things. You might even talk about the things that you think about. Well, we have a brain in our heart. We also have our whole body as a brain. If you can learn how to harness the brain of your entire body. That's kind of what I do. When I close my eyes and I tune in, I'm using the brain of my whole body. And it's not a normal human behavior to go hang out and stop speaking, stop thinking, stop attaching to everything that is the human world for a minute, and now expand. How would we connect with each other if we didn't use our brains and our voices? And sometimes we use our heart and our voices. But what if we use our whole being and we didn't need to use our voice? Because we could just translate each other's aura or each other's, I don't know, divine expressions, just like I'm doing. And I close my eyes and I get these questions and I feel prompted to share some details. It's kind of what happens when you just open up your whole body brain. But I really talk about listening to the heart and how to listen to your heart. Because you have to turn off your human brain. You have to become silent. You have to just become silent. So I can't use my brain to answer their questions, the voice of the universe's questions that appear in this experience today. I turn it all off so I can just listen to myself inside my heart, which is the purest expression of myself that I could give voice to, okay? And I can't always know what the answer is because I can't think the answer. I have to experience the answer inside my heart brain. If you have a real conundrum in your life, don't think the answers because you probably just go around in circles anyway. You just want to vent all the time and stuff. But if you just stop and be silent for a minute, and then you go into your heart brain and say, what is this really all about? What is this conundrum really all about? You just stop. And then your heart brain will say something like, it might bring up a memory that you forgot about. And somehow it's referencing it's about that. You'd be like, it's about that? What does that have to do with my conundrum? And then it says, just wait. And so you just wait. And then you start to feel something opening up in your emotional gut. There's some kind of avoidance in your self-expression, some kind of avoidance in making decisions, some kind of avoidance in loving. So your heart brain is guiding you differently than your human brain guides you. It's a different kind of messenger. It's a different kind of language, a different kind of intelligence. So I'm going to use my heart brain to answer the question so that I can do a journey, so that I can share a helpful message with some wisdom. I feel like I'm already achieving it. It's not the common path to getting there. So let's just see here. What's my heart brain say? Am I doing this through the lens of an individual, or am I going to blend the whole, the incomprehensible whole together? Or is there something else? Okay, my heart brain responds with this very classic heart brain response. It shows me that I'm very, very small and I'm standing in a pink room and it's got walls. It's kind of like an old-fashioned dollhouse. I had one of these very old-fashioned dollhouses with these, like you could build it, and it didn't have a second or third story. They were just walls, and you would put the walls into these sections and you could create rooms. And then you would be above and you would move the dolls around and you put the furniture. And it was really cool because it had wallpaper and really fancy little miniature rugs and cute little, for a girl, this is like top notch, man. This is great. Okay. And so Heartbrain shows me I'm like the doll inside one of these memorable concepts of a dollhouse. But it's just walls and they're all pink. And they have a like dark brown wooden border around each of these wall slats, okay? And then there's doorways that allows me to move into different sections of this. And the walls are really high. They seem like 12 feet tall, like taller than normal walls for my size. And I whisper to God, and it's very like inner child-like, okay? This is a very What I whispered to God, okay? Whispered what? This is heart brain stuff. There's no sentences. It's whispered sounds and expressions and it's like the presence of a whole day of experiences in a split second. So now I move all that energy through my whole body brain, okay, in order then to communicate the translation of what this means. They're showing me too, so the universe is showing me, as I'm saying this, that you are no different than me, and that you too are small in this strange dollhouse, and you too are whispering to God. Your whisper to God. What is your whisper to God? When you feel small and things are really big, then the sensation here is just almost like a little human sphere. Like can't get on their feet, stand up, can't even tell the age. This could be a fully grown adult that feels like a tiny little ball that has to just roll around to get through each space, but there's no furniture here, there's just walls. Oh, this is the next part of the message. This is true. You ever feel down and so you choose to speak to God? That's what I do. When I feel down, I choose to speak to God so I have someone to talk to about it. I've done this so many times, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times, because I could talk to God multiple times a day. This isn't just reserved for before I fall asleep at night. Like God's my buddy. I talk to God all the time. And I feel peaceful because I have God in my life. I feel, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that. I feel like I would be a suffocated soul. It would be incomprehensible. I think I would die, to be honest. And when I whisper to God when I'm having a hard time, just when I talk to God, and in the scene reminds me of it. You know, I talk about the things that I'm having difficulty with. And the older I get, the more I stop myself and I say, why am I attached? Like, why am I talking to God to talk about what makes me sad again today? And again and again. Like, I do talk to God when I'm really happy too. I tell God like everything. So good things, bad things, whatever. But I really want to challenge myself to change the language. To instead say, I feel so defeated right now. I feel I'm confused by why I'm so tired, or I'm confused by this sense of this painful, indigestible lack. I don't know how to just make it disappear, or I don't know how to live with it because it feels like I'm dying and I have to just ignore it, you know? So I kind of just don't want to whisper to God about that. Like, even if that is my reality, even if that is true to how this present place, this present moment feels, even if that is the most authentic truth I could possibly share, I want to decide the authentic truth is different than this. That my joy is in this challenge right now. But I can't understand the joy, God. But I feel the challenge. I'm going to embrace it because I'm strong enough to embrace it and I'm brave enough to embrace it. And if I were to describe it, it would feel like this, but I'm choosing to say that that is an entity of its own kind that is guiding me to grow. And I am growing and I'm so grateful for it. It's almost like uplift the whisper, like uplift it, like unravel from this fear, like open up, you know? And like the bloom of a flower, you just open up, you know? Because somehow when you keep whispering about what chokes you or what suffocates you, it just kind of, it's like you're always going to kind of be attached to that. Even if that is the authentic truth, even if only in time, and hope to God that in time, that the authentic truth could potentially change, because somehow you aren't enough to change it, or you don't have the options to make different choices right now, or you're so different that you can't be that person yet. You know what it means to feel like life is this marathon that you never get to the finish line? But then you find yourself not acknowledging finish lines you've actually reached, because there's this almighty one finish line. And I swear life is just this run of decay. But while there's this run of decay, there's this unfathomable, an extraordinary, kind of like it's like, is the decay as real as the gloriousness of it? Can we feel the gloriousness of it? Can you feel proud of yourself for learning how to walk and then run? Do you feel proud of yourself for learning how to cook some mac and cheese for the first time? Maybe in the moment. Do you ever look back and say, man, I love that day when I made that mac and cheese. Oh, it was so cool. I got the pot out. No, we don't think like that. Like, think about the crap and the decay, right? But the glorious moments that link it all together, it's like a different language. It's like speaking a different language. Then you're not that little ball of a person that's rolling around an empty, old, pink-walled dollhouse. Maybe God looking in at you. That you're opened up now. I feel like this message represents steps. It's just conversation, right? It's conversation to reflect on, because that's what wisdom is. It's mindful conversation, and it's deeply human, and it's connecting us. You know, it connects us to a link. We're linked by this wisdom, because we have to go through life's decay and understand what I mean by that silent, glorious truth. I want to bring that out of the woodwork. I want to feel the presence of that, and I want to whisper to God more about that stuff. And maybe that's the link that the voice of the universe was referencing as I go into my heart brain, as I go into a type of answer to what that means to me, so we can continue to navigate this message together. The more you choose to spend time in silence, the more you will hear what is in the silence itself, which then will activate your entire human brain. The blood cells and the organs and the chakras and the spirit of you has a voice. Like, everything has a voice. But there's more than just you. But the crazy thing is what is you? If I've spent enough time navigating interdimensional spaces, that there is no demon that I am not. There is no angel that I am not. Therefore, the incomprehensible God, then I too am. That used to be a horrible feeling to me, because I wanted individuality. I wanted to be my own creative spark. I don't want to be a reflection in the mirror of every person in existence. That bothers me. I want to feel independent of others. I want to feel like an individual. Isn't that maybe why I came here? For that glorious, life-decaying challenge that I'm whispering, a shift in my language from this hurts God to I'm brave enough to embrace this, and I'm alive today, and this is amazing, and I'm so glad for this life. You see the change in the language there? But when you navigate the interdimensional realms and you start doing this all the time, what are you to make of it as a human being, the connection that we all share? That is the truth. We are all connected. We are all part of the same ocean. You could say individual drops make up that one massive ocean, or one giant drop makes it up. Or smaller and smaller, infinitely smaller drops make it up, or infinitely larger drops until you get to the size of the very ocean as the whole. But that's us. We're all in this. Like, what's one droplet to another droplet? What makes this droplet different than that droplet? It's like part of the same whole. But yet I have my individual memories. You have your individual memories, and we come together to figure out how to communicate with each other here, not in the whole, but in just some human level, like I'm doing right now, you know? So I guess that's the overall message. Yeah. So glad I could sit down and share this with all of you. Thank you for listening in. I hope you find it impactful. If I can do anything to help you in your life, you can book a session with me. I share psychic wisdom and energy healing to any goals that you might have. I'll navigate the energy around it and turn disharmony to harmony and talk my way through everything. And it's a fun little adventure that we can experience together. If you want to book a session, you can do so by visiting my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I also share a unique monthly experience on Patreon. If you want to check out what I'm doing this month, go to patreon.com/abbeynormalswisdomquest. I'll put links in the description. Thank you all again, and have a beautiful day.